Hi guys, it's Debbie from healingfrombpd.org and dbtpath.com, and this is going to be one of those no frills videos that I'm just doing on my iPad. There's no editing, the lighting is not the best, so I apologize that it's not the ordinary quality in terms of, well, some of the better quality lighting and audio videos that I've done. But I brought up a topic on Twitter just now, and a number of you related to it and wanted information, so I thought I would just hop on and do a video rather than have you wait for me to go through that whole process, which could take a couple of days to get it all done. So anyhow, just to set up the situation, last night was the last night of the trauma recovery group that I've been attending to manage the PTSD symptoms that I have. And there's a lot of overlap between PTSD and BPD for a lot of people, and I have a post on that coming up on the blog soon as well, so look out for that, and I'll tweet about it, of course. But one of the things that really stood out to me last night was this. I was feeling emotional about the fact that the group was ending. This had been 8 weeks with some people who were really invested in working on their mental health and coping and dealing with things from the past that had been severely difficult for them, including myself. And we started out with 12 people in the group. We ended up with 6 at the end and 3 in my small group. And it was difficult for me to end the group, and at the same time I was excited that it was ending because it was a lot of hard work, a lot of emotional investment, really tiring, exhausting in some ways, emotionally and physically, which is to be expected when you deal with traumatic things from the past. But I think the sad part for me was that, I had to put it in perspective, but let me just tell you where I was coming from. So it started before the group, earlier in the day. I started to feel a little bit off or disconnected, and I know it had to do with sadness about knowing that the group was coming to an end. I had that awareness. Sadness that these people that I had spent time with talking about such intimate, serious things, like I may never see them again, after the group last night. And then I put it into perspective, basically, and said, what do I really know about these people outside of their trauma story? Everybody came here for help. And while we do feel a close bond, because we've all admitted it, including the doctor, even felt a bond to the group just because of the strong commitment, we are people on our own individual journeys, and we weren't there to, make lifelong friendships. Who knows? Who knows what will happen. But I was sad. I was sad about it coming to an end, and I was sad about, that whole process. And so during group, there were a couple of times where I guess I was just kind of like spacing out, especially during the ceremony where they did the certificates for completing the program. And the doctor said, "Debbie, are you okay? You look kind of sad." And I said, "Oh, I think I was just dissociating. I kind of just spaced out." And she goes, "You know what? I want to give you a nugget of information. It's not always dissociating when you space out. In fact, if you were dissociating, you wouldn't have so quickly acknowledged it and been aware of it like that." She goes, "I think you may have been experiencing detachment." And she went into it a little bit and said, with emotional detachment, sometimes we try to separate ourselves from the feelings that we're having. So we might start thinking about other things or just emotionally detach and distract from that. And I likened it to, how sometimes you see news stories about things that happen to animals or different things like that, and you can almost feel like you shut down a little bit or a wall goes up because it's just too difficult to deal with the emotion that is coming up. So you're trying to put some distance between yourself and having that intense feeling. So that's how it was explained to me. So with dissociation, you can have episodes where you just completely check out, and I've had them. I've talked about them at length. If you type dissociation into the search bar at healingfrombpd.org, you'll find a number of examples of times when I've had that experience. And now I've learned about the difference with detachment, which is more of a conscious decision, even though it doesn't completely feel like it or seem like it in the moment. But it's kind of like when something's getting to be too much and you start to drift and you start to put that wall up because it's just too much to handle emotionally in that moment. So the same skills work and apply, interestingly. So acknowledging your experience for what it is. So realizing that the detachment has just happened, and then starting to use grounding skills. You know, in the sense of grounding for this, it might be acknowledging the emotions. You know, I'm feeling really sad, or I'm distressed because, you know, I've been getting this support for the last 8 weeks, and then this is going to be gone. So, you know, or I'm sad that I'm probably not going to see these people again, whatever the issues might be. And then if you're still having difficulty, you can go and say, okay, I'm in the room at the clinic. It is Wednesday at 4 p.m. and yada yada. So you just list the facts just to bring yourself back into the present. One thing that helped me on the drive home, because I noticed my mind wanted to keep, you know, checking out and not thinking about how I felt, which is fine. I mean, why would I want to push it and force it if that's where I was at that time? We want to have compassion for ourselves and allow ourselves some space if that's what our minds are asking for, right? At least temporarily. So what I did was I put on NPR, National Public Radio, which I don't listen to all that often anymore, but I found it was like the perfect thing to do. They were talking about really interesting topics regarding geology in a very storytelling way, and it kept my attention. So every time my mind started to drift, or I started to feel like I was losing my sense of connection or kind of drifting off, I would bring myself back to listening to that story, and it was very effective and grounding. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully this illuminates a little bit more based on my understanding as a peer of what I learned yesterday of the differences between dissociating and detachment, because it seems like there's a fine line. The other thing is I was looking it up as well, it seems that with dissociation, and we all know this, sometimes there can be amnesia episodes, not always, to where people don't remember how they got to a certain place, or, you know, they're in a bar and they don't know how they got there, sort of thing. I don't seem to find any information to back up that this happens with emotional attachment or detachment, but if you have information contrary to that, please do share it with the community, because of course I'm not a doctor or therapist, I'm a peer and I'm doing the research alongside you. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. Again, be on the lookout for the post that I'm going to be doing on my final week of the group, some things I learned and all of that good stuff. And see you over at healingfrombpd.org and at dbtpath.com. Talk to you soon. Bye.